Each year we prepare a very special guide for the Paris Design Week. There you can find the best locations, the coziest hotels, the tastiest restaurants and so on. Please follow us to the Paris Design Week.
Show is actually a mix of pieces with one of Fabrice Ausset. He's an architect and designer. And we try to develop his gallery, inviting new emergent, artists. Mm-hmm. And for this first show, we have chosen 6 ceramists that we found interesting with their very particular world. And we would like to make them mix with the high-end pieces of furniture of Fabrice.
Would you say that ceramics is now living like the second coming, the second wave, and is it also like very, very popular among French people as it is, well, as I know in Russia?
Yeah. It is very popular here. Worldwide, I'm not that convinced. I feel that now the collection of the pieces of the 50s, 60s went so high that we can now offer something fresh, something more contemporary. And it's a medium that is very in between decorative arts and art, like a piece of sculpture. Pieces, they are like vegetables, like plants, but they are all made of ceramics. And what I like is that they are coming out of the fantasy of the artist.
Yeah.
I really love the color of the enameled, and I think it's a very delicate, soft work. It's surprising that we don't use this kind of idea before. We use plants in our interiors or for decoration. I would imagine like an hotel having an entrance like that, like a kind of forest made of his with his plants, and that would be fantastic. That is made with clay and milk, and so that's why the shape is not that much the matter with this one. It's more materials, yeah, and how it is made and how it looks like without anything else. There is no enameled, nothing else that this clay and milk being cooked. Mm-hmm. And what is very particular is the time of cooking is giving the color. I can tell you about Stéphane Margolis. His work is unusual. He's not a ceramist. He's not a ceramist. Okay.
Who is he?
Is collecting ceramic.
Okay.
Okay. And he plays with them, with their shapes, and putting them together.
So it's like upcycling.
Exactly,
design.
upcycling, ready-made.
Yeah.
That's more what he does.
Okay.
And I've seen no one with such an eye on the shape and the love of ceramics. The work of Fabrice doesn't use ceramic.
Yes.
That's why we need to invite designers to enter his world with ceramics. Mm-hmm. But this unusual vase is a bit like a painting, or it is a frame for the flowers. Abel Carcamon, mm-hmm, and Abel is a Chilean designer living in Paris. Yeah. And what I like from Abel is that he has an eye on art, the artist, but also he has some primitivism, mm-hmm, connected to his roots of pre-Hispanic.
I think it's nice that as a European company with traditional roots, we can do things that not only represent our culture, but also that bow to other cultures and make the games that they play there. Like in China, Go is a big game where in Europe hardly anyone plays it. We made chess, we made checker, we made backgammon, we made domino, and we made Go, and that together is like a beautiful family of games. I think it's nice that besides our tablets and the things that we do online, and that we have a different way of being connected to each other. I think chess plays therefore a big role because in our culture it is a very visual game, it's a very beautiful game. There's this fantastic history in how people through the years, through the ages have made these pieces, and they're very decorative pieces. I mean, I think I would see really a little table in the house, two beautiful little chairs, and the game is waiting for you. We made it so that you can put the two beautiful flowers in the queen. Baccarat is the fundament of the game.
Right.
And everywhere we found this octagon shape as a reference for Baccarat. And inside there is a flower, an element of flower. And the first known game, the game of Urm, which is like thousands of years old, there was the most important stone, always had a flower on it. So it seemed like logical that in this game the flower played an important role. And we made a flower that's a fleur-de-lis, so very French. It has some signs of tulips inside, which of course from Holland. So it became a beautiful, beautiful object. I think we like to make things that are made to stay. I love to work and make things that are going to stand the test of times. And obviously a lot of things that are made today are made to be thrown away. We like to work on the things that will stay forever. And obviously luxury brands are inclined to do so because they always did so. The quality that is embedded in these objects is superb, and it demands respect. If you oftenwise I feel like if we make things and you just cut a little part out of the object, then you find it on the street, you're like, oh, what is this? There's intrinsic beauty in the detail, and you have no idea what it is anymore, but it's just like beautifully made. And if you find it somewhere on the street, you're like, oh, what is this? What is this? Take it up. So you take it home. It's not something that you kick against. It's something that has presence, something that has character.
What do you think, at what point does a person need something luxurious?
I have a nice quote, but I have to look it up if you want. Luxury starts where functionality ends, and where true value is personal and has no price or reason. So functionality is never the luxury of things. Functionality is the lowest standard in design.
Okay.
Functionality is supposedly super important, and it is important, but it's the lowest standard. Under functionality, there's nothing anymore. So luxury starts where functionality ends, and where the value of it is personal and has no price or reason. So it's not because it's expensive, it's not because it's very reasonable, but it's because it's very personal, because you love that thing.
I know that, that depends a lot. For you, for your brand, for Baccarat, this depends a lot on the material, the luxurious perception. But what else does it need? Does the product need to have to be considered luxurious? I think.
I think it needs to be unique in some way. I think you want to know, if you buy a luxury brand, whatever is the brand, you want to know it's unique. You want to know it has best quality, that maybe has been designed with a particular attention, that is done with savoir-faire and not just industrially made, and that gives you a unique experience. And I think when you drink in a Baccarat glass, it's a different experience.
I know that it's been top secret, but you can reveal it at the moment. What is going to happen tonight?
But you're gonna discover what the house of games is. I mean, Baccarat and Maison Baccarat is a house that is gonna be transformed tonight into kind of a house game. So where a lot of different gaming. Of course, some of the creations that you have seen today, but also other type of games from very, very digital to participating games and classic, I think, roulette and other things like this. But it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be nicer if you discover it.
The story I wanted to tell, divided in three parts, so it's a three partition. You start up with the metaphysical room, as I call it, with a clear reference to Giorgio de Chirico. The second room is the eclectical room with reference to Venice and I would say Carlo Molino for the color palette and so on and so forth. There's a beautiful luster I designed and it's produced by Hermes. It's a very young manufacturing firm in Murano. And the third room is it's a more complicated, let's say, reference because it's that very particular moment in art and architecture history in Italy where the architects and the artists were looking very much to the United States. In fact, we call it the international style. So that's how you can explain the Torre Velasca and the Pirelli, we call it very lovely, the Pirellone, which is the Pirelli Tower that Gio Ponti designed in Milan, close to the Central Station. And it's a very particular moment because in America, after Frank Lloyd Wright, his the fellowship or his students, like John Lautner and Paul Rudolph, they were designing these beautiful, very organic architectures with concrete. They used a lot of concrete, and that's what they brought back actually to Milan, and that's what I tried to enhance and recreate here.
Did you choose them? Were you searching for them on purpose, or was it somebody who you worked with?
Nothing here would have been possible without Cantiere Galli. Cantiere Galli is the general contractor, but not just the general contractor. They do a lot of material resourcing in and around Rome, and without them, literally, it wouldn't have been possible. All this was pulled off in 2.5 weeks. So everything had to be set in place and organized perfectly to the point.
Best finish for you to work with? What do you like mostly?
I definitely love to work with very rough materials, as well as, of course, marble. But marble I would use nowadays, especially because it was kind of overused, only to a certain degree. It should be always be in contrast with another material that might be less, a little bit more humble material, so it can pop out more. If you build literally the whole building or the whole an entryway all in marble, it can be a bit too much. So that's on. Of course, I use a lot of wood. I've designed a lot of design pieces here. I collaborate with Sam. Sam is a very young producer, Claudio Spotti, in Milan. With him, we made the Paesaggio collection, and your cameraman is actually sitting on on one of the pieces. It's called Nuvola, which means literally a cloud, because you cannot almost see the structure underneath, but it's a very complex structure. The console table, on the other hand, is made of wood and has this a ceramic resin finishing. That's all I can say about it because it's like a top secret finishing.
What do you think? What is the main purpose of this exhibition? Is it to inspire people, or is it to demonstrate the possibilities of the materials and so on?
I would say both. I would say literally say both, because we're showing what is possible, and it's not easy to build a booth in 2.5 weeks, especially when it's very architectural, just like mine. So yeah, we're showing possibilities of different finishings, and to tell people, please don't be scared to look even sometimes at quirky stuff, ugly stuff, nerdy stuff, and to combine it with beautiful elements. Just working within beauty, and in beauty it can get a little bit boring. So I think when you mix elements, sometimes really something new can come out, and that's what I'm trying to do. Very eclectic and very based on mixity, based on mix and match, and so on and so forth.
So tell us a few words about the room, the conception.
Yeah, I wanted to reinvent the concept of winter garden, which is a concept from the 19th century, very French, with plants we keep inside during the winter. And I wanted to redesign every piece of this kind of atmosphere, from the interior fontaine to the wall with a rich fabric. But in a shade of colors, and also the sofa, which is like a countryside, and to create like a magic, very romantic atmosphere.
What was the most challenging to create?
Well, the fountain was tough, and also the shape of the sofa. But every piece are like a challenge for every craftsman.
How did you get the idea of the fountain? Because it's quite unusual.
Yeah, it comes from the Italian garden, from the Renaissance, where you can find fountain, like at the Villa d'Este near Rome, with this play of playing with water from just when you walk in the garden, it's like play or like a scene, and it comes from this very historic atmosphere, but modernized today.
Speaking about the contractors and the productions, did you use the brands the firms that you work with, or did you were searching for them especially for the exhibition?
Some are already people I work with, but I work with 25 contractors for this room, so maybe half was already in my usual craftsmen, but half were new, almost for the carpets, for the textile, and I work with a Murano workshop to blow the glass. Yeah.
Was there some special discovery that you're like really happy with?
Yeah, I'm very happy with the tiles, which are from an Italian company. They're all hand painted, and it's I'm very happy with the results. Yeah.
also have a really cool scenography. Who came up with that?
Yes, we work with a scenographer from Japan who lives in Paris, so it's easier to coordinate. And he used some materials by 3M. So on the top, it's nice because it moves with the wind, and on the floor also it's 3M. It's more like a mirror paper, and it's something light, but that stimulates your imagination also during the exhibition.
So tell me about the conception of the exhibition.
So this is two different events. One is about vases. It's called 1000 Vases. It's the third edition. It's about 30-35 designers who exhibit their vase, handmade for the most part, and some 3D printed. And there is no brand and no gallery because we want to work only with the independent designers. And if someone wants to buy, they can buy directly from the designer with no commission for us. And the other part is Meet My Project, so it's a selection of furniture, prototypes or self-produced pieces. And the purpose is to meet new brands, new architects to work with, and new shops as well. We also have a partnership with Galerie Lafayette, and we have a selection of vases in their shop called Arebura, near in the Marais, in this area, but much smaller, like 10 vases only. And the next edition it will be in Milan in April during the Salon del Mobile, the design week.
Is it a big trend that a lot of the vases are 3D printed?
It's a trend, but I would not say a big trend, and I think that it's not the most interesting in terms of sales. I can see that the most interesting are the one when you can see the hand touch. So the artisanal work. We sold, for example, a lot of the Turkish designer. Jacques Moussi, he came and he bought like 15 vases, and the one he chose was handmade, not even one 3D printed. Because fashion, sometimes it forces you to buy every 6 months something new. I think if you choose a vase, for example, and you want to keep it in your house, it's supposed to be for a long time, as a couch, as a chair. So in this way, I think it can help us to consume less. Maybe it would be a way. It's not about the material, because I think even if it's plastic, but you can just keep it forever, it's okay. It's about the use. So I think this is the main problem.
The name of this project is Hem fois six, which means that we actually have 6 small studios of residences that we have refurbished with 6 duos of brands and designers to create a Swedish home in the middle of Paris, in this beautiful French palace from the 16th century. Why we chose to be within the Paris Design Week is because it's the design event of the year here in Paris, and there's so much going on, and people from all over the world, you're here, and it's a wonderful opportunity for us, but also for the participants, the brands and the designers, to show what they're capable of. The word hem in Swedish is actually very similar to the word home in English. It means that it's at the same time it's a physical place, but it's also the place where you feel at home. That's why, for example, in Sweden you would say home desire instead of homesick. Like you desire that feeling of home. And in French you don't really have that word. So for us, since we are meeting the French audience more than the international one, it was very important for us to explain the whole concept of home, because in French you either say you're at the house, you're in the house, or you're at home, but you don't. It's not the combination. So that's why we wanted to highlight it.
My name is Felicia Arvid, and I'm a Danish designer. I just started out 2 years ago, and this sofa is called Adera, which is a combination of, like the name resembles, to add something more, and then it's just, a mix of something I found. It's a sofa or a daybed or whatever you want it to be. Yeah, you can. The thing is, you can move everything around, rearrange, and you can also change the pillows, so you can take them off, change color, material, whatever you need or feel for. And you can also, see, you can just easily pull the bowl up here and add a table instead, or the lamp you can also take off. And
all the elements that can be used presented here, or do you have some more?
well, these are the ones I have designed for now. They are over there. Yeah, but you can easily design something more. For example, if you like champagne, you can add a champagne cooler, like stuff like that.
Right. How did you come up with the idea?
Well, I wanted to create a new kind of furniture, a sofa that allowed you to individualize it to your taste and your needs in the home. And then I came up with, what if you use these round cushions and then you could use the space between.
My name is Gonzales. I'm a French designer. In Paris, living in Paris. It's my new collection of lamps. This is a polypropylene lamps with my secret fabrics. I made faux chagrin. I made this material, and I propose different shapes like bubble, cubes, cylinder, column, and I like to work for the top on the lamps. I use the eggshell, I use the golden brass or mirror. The client can choose the material.
My name is Kanu Kim,
My name is Yunju Che.
and I'm a designer in Paris.
I'm architect in Paris. Wow. Yes.
That's a powerful duo. Okay, so what do you do?
I'm a designer, and we designed furnitures and lightings. For this series is inspired by a marriage of design and architecture. So as you can see, I wanted to produce a light, and I asked the architect to build. Yes.
Housing with. So this elements is for playing shadow and movement like housing. So.
How would you say, is your collection speaks to everybody globally?
Well, it's hard to say, but we have chose to use wood because we believe it's more international and it speaks to everyone, and it has the warmth, let's say, that everybody likes. That's why, yeah.
It's more eco-friendly. Yes.
Okay, guys, tell me a little bit about yourself. Where do you come from?
Okay, so we are a group of 5 designers. Right now it's Millie and Diego, and we are all from France. We are all French, but we studied abroad. So we went to the Netherlands to study at Design Academy, and we graduated last year. So we are now based in the Netherlands, developing our product, and we decided to come to design the Paris Design Week to also show what we have been learning by going abroad.
Yeah, I'm doing the minute manufacture, where I'm producing objects that I sell €1 per minute of production, and I cover trash materials with some kind of weird Play-Doh that dries very quickly. So I kind of create a second life to these objects.
So my project is the fabric project with the hanging system. And I worked from the Windows XP background. I don't know if you remember the desktop background, the blue sky with the green hill. It's really iconic, and it really showed like a perfected nature. And it was really this vision of a fantasy on your computer, on your screen. And I decided to take it out of the screen into the real life, and I distorted the patterns from like something close to the actual desktop to something really abstract. and I really work the images so that I can give a more poetic nature.
And how would you say, what is the biggest need of the humanity at the moment, speaking of design?
Whoa, that's a very big question. What do we need? I think we need a lot. And we need nothing at the same time, which is something tricky. Which is something that we need to think about. Do we need to produce as many things, yet we make things? But I think it's all a question of observing with a different perspective the way we act and what has been done and how we can kind of improve it or change it or act upon it.